everybody? Black Phoenix Podcast back again, hanging out with y'all for another week. MC and TR here to hang with you one more time. TR was good.
Hey everyone, it's going to be a very it's going to be a fun episode today, and I'm looking forward to talking about some joy. So
Yeah, you could almost say it's a joy to do this podcast, but
it's a
we'll
joy
drop them
ride.
spoilers. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get started.
Just got done with rehearsal for the new show Speak, and I got to take a moment to shout out my co-host Joy Taylor. A woman, a black woman, daily show, sports. Do you all realize how hard it is to get into the position that she is in?
Position, you say?
So often there's misogyny and sexism running rampant in sports, and we don't even care what women have to say in sports. But Joy is not only in the position on television as a woman, as a black woman, but as an opinionist. So not just asking men what they think, but providing her own unique and distinct insight. It's hard to do, and Joy, you have done it. So congratulations. Looking forward to working with you, and hope y'all tune in 4:30 to 6 Eastern every day starting next week. Just got done with
This dude.
Yo.
Let's level set real quick for the folks that don't know what's going on. So there's a big lawsuit right now.
Huge lawsuit.
Yeah, former employee, a hairdresser and makeup artist, I believe, for Fox Sports One. I forget the lady's name, but she threw a lawsuit out there alleging lots of harassment of the sexual kind. She mentioned that when she went to Joy Taylor, who's supposed to be one of the
Well,
lady advocates.
harassment towards from Skip Bayless.
Yeah, Skip Bayless, and there was a couple other people whose names were mentioned in there too. But
Yeah.
that's where we're starting at. But you got it, Tr. That's your boy Emmanuel Acho. What you got?
Man, Emmanuel Acho. I've come to the conclusion that any man that is coming out on social media and just caping for any of these women, I'm thinking that you're sleeping with them or you're trying to sleep with them. It's one or the other, because what's detailed in this lawsuit, and again, this is all allegedly, this is all going to have to be proven. This is from a hairdresser that Skip may have been propositioning 1.5 million, and we'll probably get into that to a little bit later, paying for box for $1.5 million, which inflation is about to go up, like, okay, let me get that sound. But your boy Emmanuel Acho is out here just getting exposed because Joy Taylor is trying to run up the corporate chain, and she ain't doing it with like her, her wits and her personality and her bubbly personality. I mean, she's doing with a couple of things, but it ain't because Joy Taylor is amazing on air journalist or reporter or anything, or a host. Like, there's a number of things that's going on with this Joy Taylor thing, and for the men that are coming out here trying to defend Joy Taylor, or this is really a conversation about, are women in the sports media, are they really entertaining, or is that someone that are they not, are they all doing this? Because I feel like, now that you think about it, they all have a certain type. I mean, the Molly Karams, and then you have Malik and Andrews, and I'm not saying those women are cheating or they ran it up or whatever, but I can't remember the last time I was like, man, these women, or this woman host had an amazing sports take. Anyone that goes viral is generally men that are going viral, but no one is ever saying like, hey, did you see what so and so said? If anything, if they go viral, it's because they said something outside of sports or the way they look, which is Joy Taylor, Molly Karam, Malika Andrews. She goes viral, but that's when she's shitting on black men.
Yeah. Look, I have so much to say here, but let's keep it in the context of Emmanuel Acho first. We'll get back to Joy in a minute because as far as I'm concerned, she's the star of this show. I want to share a quick clip. Can you that link I just shared? Can you pull that up real quick? It's a short, so it should be a quick one.
Here we go.
know, it's fucking nuts. People are so scared now. You have the male feminist.
Yep.
Like, where the fuck did that come from? Just out of nowhere. Last couple of years, I'm a male feminist. I've always championed women. No, you haven't. You haven't. This shit came out and you're fucking scared. You did something. You grabbed some fucking titties. What the fuck did you do that you have to overcorrect that fucking hard? What kind of a man who still has his balls is walking around saying that he's a male feminist? I'm a male feminist. I totally see the way you see the fucking world. It's impossible as a man who was raised right. To be a feminist.
That's it.
Oh man.
So I'm level setting with Emmanuel Acho. I don't know if he's a male feminist or not, but he's on the same level. Super Simps and male Simps are on the same level.
Yeah.
What
Agreed.
they do is they cape extra hard for people, and generally speaking, it's because they did some bleep me on this, some fuckery.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened here. A lawsuit documents allege that he also, first of all, she was getting passed around like a baton at the Olympics last summer. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the ones doing the passing. So of course he gonna get on here and he gonna advocate for it. He ain't trying to mess up a good thing. That's number one. Emmanuel, go on somewhere and sit down, dude. Ain't nobody taking you seriously. You was one of the main ones that Bill Burr was talking about in that video, playing grab cheeks. That's number one. Number two, we just talked about last week, and now I'm directing my energy at Joy because as far as I'm concerned, she's the star of the show. Because Joy, we talked about last week with Angel Reese. These women in these industries, they sell sex.
Yep.
And this is the threat that, so if you have a woman who's fully tapped into what she can do with her feminine powers, she's going to use it for evil or for good.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say for good, that's typically this isn't good here. This is, you used your beauty and your breasts. Jason Whitlock was not the only person talking about the way she portrayed herself at work. You used your beauty and your breasts, allegedly, to get to the top. Like, it wasn't on your merits. It wasn't on your credentials. And honestly, I looked at her IG right now. Most of the stuff that she has that's going viral is relationship stuff. She don't even talk. It's relationship talk, and it's putting the girls out there for everybody to see. And
whoa, again, hold on. Let me look this up. We're not going to
sit
proud.
What, the IG? Oh yeah. There's some strong evidence on there. There's some classy photos too. She keeps it classy, and she put the girls out there. But classy, she sells sex. She sells sex.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly how she got where she was. Now, that's number one. Number two, I've never in any capacity.
Wait, hold on, MC. I don't see anything wrong here. Hold on. Let me see. Let's see. She's wearing a Miami Heat. Is she selling? I don't think she's selling sex. I don't think so.
Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. There's others. The one right next to it is a matter of fact.
Oh, okay. All right.
Go to the one to the right. What are we selling here? What are we selling here? There's one right. There's two right underneath it, right there in the middle, and the one to the right. Come on.
Yikes.
What are we doing here? You know what we're here for, Joy. But again,
oh yeah, this one is a really good one when she talks about discipline. Get out of here.
Yeah, discipline. Yeah. So anyway, she sells sex. That's how she's getting her followers, and that's how she's building her brand. And even more importantly, like I was about to say, and this is where I start to tear into the pro-blacks. I've never heard her talk about race until all of this stuff came out about her. But you know what's funny? She's doing this?
I thought she was mixed or something, but everyone keeps saying she's black, and I'm like, what?
Well, a lot of mixed people call themselves black. A lot of mixed people call themselves black.
You know who doesn't call herself black? Fucking her.
That's my point. This didn't start until she wanted to victimize herself and develop sympathy and empathy. And that's what we need to be mindful of, man. I call it black when convenient. You got all these people that just, they want to play the biracial card, but then when the BS comes to the front door, it's a protect black women. She's a black woman. And actually, Emmanuel Acho was doing it more than she was. But I have heard her recently on a couple of occasions talk about how hard it is to be a woman and to be a black woman in this business. She's victimizing herself to protect herself.
Yeah.
And this is why I can't trust any of this. And the lady who filed the lawsuit came to Joy for help, saying, "Hey, these men are harassing me. What do I do?" And she basically told her to get the hell over it.
Yeah,
Like, what?
yeah.
Yeah, man. This is all kinds of wrong, man.
Yeah, so Joy Taylor, it's interesting though because I'm trying to remember the last time I've seen a woman file a lawsuit. I mean, women file lawsuits against men, Me Too, and harassment, blah blah blah. But it's very rare that a woman includes other women in that lawsuit. And we're going to find out really quickly about how people feel about women. I mean, if we're to believe women, believe all women, as they love to say, then why shouldn't we believe this hairstylist? And again, real quick, men, y'all got to stop messing with the help. This is the same thing Jonathan Majors got himself into, where he was upgrading that chick. I'm not sure it was hairstylist or wardrobe or something. You cannot be sleeping with the help. Like that should be 100% off, off limits. And from the lawsuit, apparently they were all hanging out like after they get done doing a shoot or something. And this woman, the crazy thing is that this woman is, in her, I don't know how old she is, but single baby mama, and making like 40 or $50,000 or whatever, and she's hanging out with Skip Bayless and Joy Taylor. It's like, what is wrong with this picture? Because everyone always want to say, like, once you start making some money, you don't hang out with the same people or the same people that are not in your class, or at least in your financial class. So why are they hanging out with someone, and someone who's nowhere near, who has more to gain and they have more to lose if she starts telling any of the trade secrets or how things are going over, which this woman, or Joy Taylor, confided into this woman about how things are done behind the scenes. And let's not forget that Fox Sports, they're no stranger to like these Me Too allegations. I want to say one of their executives, he actually had to step down back in like 2017, 2018 because of Me Too allegations. And so people, this is kind of like, on the on the path of Fox News or Fox Sports, is that they have like these issues where they have these Me Too things going on, and who knows what else. Or I mean, we might even hear from other people though, because it only takes one woman to kind of like bring a whole house of cards down. So there might be some other women coming out there and saying like, hey, Joy Taylor, yeah, she's definitely like that. Or, we're hearing from Jason Whitlock, who worked at Fox Sports when Joy Taylor was there. Some additional rumors that were going along that. And again, this is all alleged, and even Jason Whitlock says it's all alleged. But the point is, there's some things going on with Joy Taylor, and then also the guy that she allegedly slept with, which is Charlie Dixon. Pause. And so you have this guy who's an executive or whatever his position is, who tried to force Joy Taylor onto a show with Jason Whitlock. And Jason Whitlock, I mean, I know he's getting a little bit fired though, because he said, he, knows what he's capable of. He didn't want to be around her. And everybody's trying to eviscerate him. I mean, you got one guy who knows himself and he's like, hey, I don't want to be distracted. And you have Emmanuel Acho, who is sleeping with her allegedly and trying to big her up. Like the Simps are the way worse than anybody. The Simps, because the Charlie Dixon dude, he's definitely a mega Simp, because he about to mess up his whole bag with Joy Taylor. And then you have Emmanuel Acho and some other men coming out here just trying to act like, hey, we got to start bigging these women up. Y'all ninjas are sleeping with, like, you're sleeping with the women that you're trying to big up. And I ain't seen no big woman ever on any of the Fox shows or even on ESPN. Name one. I mean, why
I
did
can
you?
give you one on ESPN, but for the most part, you're right. But look, the lawsuit stuff is all alleged, right? But the biggest alleged in the lawsuit that we ain't talked about yet is that allegedly the lawsuit, and this hairstylist or whatever had inside knowledge that Joy Taylor had plans to Me Too herself
Oh,
in
yes.
order to gain power at
Yep.
Fox.
Yep.
So now she's taking advantage of being black and taking advantage of being a woman.
Yep.
So, and this is what I tell women when it comes to Me Too. For every accusation that you throw out there and it's BS, it's a slap in the face to the real women who are going through this stuff really.
Oh,
And that's
like,
the same thing I tell black people that say everything is racist. you are disrespecting the people that went through real racism.
Yep.
But let's talk about what we do know about Joy Taylor. Share that clip that I just posted in the chat real quick. Let's do some character definition, shall we?
Yep.
Because I'm gonna take Joy at her word for what kind of person she is.
Just keep it a buck. If they're fine enough, if they're funny enough, or if their financial status is what you want, fine, funny, fucking money.
Jeez.
Funny, fine, fucking money. She
There you
didn't
go. You can stop.
that F word.
Oh man, hold on.
So, yeah.
Oh man, my sounds don't work.
Oh well, next time. Whoops.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yep.
All right.
Warning, enemy nuke has been launched. Repeat, enemy nuke has been launched.
Jeez.
So, what is she telling us? She's telling us that she's down with the get down. She's for sale. If you got the bread,
Yeah.
and if she can take advantage of you somehow to accelerate her career, you good. You in there.
Mhm.
Here's my thing though. This is some corporate stuff. Corporate level stuff is cutthroat. And I remember Kevin Samuels talked about this a long time ago, and I looked into this a little bit. He talked about how a lot of executives at a lot of corporations actually have it in their budget to deal with women like this. Like
Yes.
they have budgeted items where they can give them a little bit of bread, clap some cheeks, be quiet, and go on about their business. And they all, not all of them, but it's a well known practice, right?
Yeah.
So what Joy is doing a cultural thing. She didn't start it. I'm not, but she's not a victim either. And I'm not knocking her for what she's doing, but what I am knocking her, what she's doing is not the problem. The fact that she's taking advantage of being a woman and being black to
Mhm.
make herself a victim is what I specifically have a problem with.
Yeah, and this is apparently, I mean, there's a couple levels to that too, because she's playing the race card, she's playing the gender card, and up until this lawsuit, I mean, had Joy came out and said this Charlie Dixon had came out there and said like he was assaulting her, they would have believed her. They would have believed her, and the person that filed the lawsuit, which is also real interesting too. So the woman, the hairstylist that filed the lawsuit, she filed the lawsuit after Skip left Undisputed back in August late last year. So that's when she filed it. So I have questions on even with the hairstylist. So if it was Undisputed was still going on, would you still be working? Because apparently they scaled back her hours. They said they didn't need more. They didn't need another hairstylist. And because of that, she's filing, her own complaint or lawsuit where she's alleging to ableist, or she's accusing all of the Fox properties or TV shows because of being ableist, and then also some type of racism, which I think she's Persian or something in the Middle East. I don't know what she is, but she's playing all these cards. I don't know who can play all these cards, because you have one woman who's filed a lawsuit because after she lost her job, and she'd been working with Skip for what, 10 years or something, or I don't know. She worked with him at least 5 years. She lost her job, and then that's when she files a lawsuit. She's saying Skip was XYZ towards her, and she files a lawsuit. That's already suspicious. And then we have Joy Taylor, who is alleged to said she's going to start using the Me Too allegations, because most people and most simps are going to believe all women. Like, people want to get mad at Jason Whitlock for saying XYZ about her cans, but they're letting her off the hook, because every man should be worried about, will this woman file a Me Too allegation? It doesn't matter if you did something or you didn't do anything. Most men are not doing anything anyways, as you can see with Colin Cowherd, because it was said that he was a model gentleman or whatever. I don't even believe that. That makes me want to look more into it. If Colin Cowherd really was a professional at 100% all the time, maybe he was. I don't know. But it was weird that they mentioned that he was a professional towards her. He was always nice. So, if you go with that, then there are men that can definitely, not have to worry about anything. And then you got the Shannon Sharps, and you got, like, again, Emmanuel Achos. Like, there's a couple clips floating around where Shannon Sharp is like, "Come on, like, dude, are you trying to hit, or have you hit?" Because when you look back at some of those clips and like their relationship, you can see that there might be something a little bit more. So again, the men that are out here trying to pick up all these women, they're actually one of the dangerous men, not Joy Taylor. Because Joy Taylor, yeah, she should always be on guard, but you should also be aware of all the men giving her the platform to weaponize whatever she needs to against you. Because it should be a crime, but apparently she's not going to go to jail. She's obviously not going to lose her job. If this was a man, he would have been suspended at the very least until they can complete their investigation, or he would have been taken off the air. Like, oh, they're going to take a leave of absence. So the Simps are a problem. The Charlie Dixon dude, pause. He is married. He has a whole family. Emmanuel Acho is not married, but he's out here simping. Again, we have a bunch of men simping for this one woman. I get Joy Taylor is good looking, but she ain't like, mess up your bag good looking or mess up your family good looking.
I have a question for the audience, and I want y'all to put y'all answers in the comments. Answer this honestly too. If somebody offered you 1.5 mil to clap your girl's cheeks, would you take that money? Because now I want to see I want to see how your morality holds up. I really want y'all to answer that question. But and another thing, Skip Bayless is married. So he's gonna have to deal with that. Look, whether the lawsuit is true or not, he's going to get it from his wife. He's not going to hear the end of this, so he's going to have to deal with that at home. And she might want to exit, And you know what happens when they exit? They taking something with them. It ain't going to just go be no clean break. I don't understand why people mess the bag up for this. When I see a bunch of men in power who are on TV and are assumed to have money, why not just go to someplace else to get your box? Because doing it at work, you're going to hurt your career. You're going to forfeit your contract. And I don't understand why men don't think like this. And I don't understand.
It's the same reason why men will not go after or advocate for changing the marriage laws or family court laws. It's the same reason, because men just think it's never going to happen to them. Men just want to get it for free. Men just think that, hey, I can clap this, and remember, or not remember, I mean, because we haven't disclosed it yet though either, but what's alleged by Joy, she was married at the time.
Yeah.
So, and she was in relationships after that a little as well too. So
married just a year.
Yeah, just a year. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things that Joy, she was married, and then you got this executive. At the end of the day, fellas, look, if some guy is going to want your girl, they're probably going to do everything they can, though. But men, you won't protect yourselves. You will continue thinking like this is no big deal. You're going to keep thinking that, oh, well, not my girl, or, too bad for him. So sad. It is what it is. Like, men just won't do anything. Men just got to keep finding out the hard way. And that's why these stories are going to keep coming out. I hope there are more stories that keep coming out, though, because you don't learn your lesson and you're going to keep getting yourselves in trouble because you want to chastise Jason Whitlock because he doesn't want to be around a woman who is obviously selling her body. I mean, what do you call them? The H-1B visas? Now I'm going to call it 3 or 4 visas because that's why she's in the role that she's in.
Oh, man. Yeah. You know how we talked about pretty privilege a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
And how it doesn't happen with men. This is a perfect example of that. The only reason she got was allegedly, she can do stuff like this. But what I do know about really attractive women is they never get corrected or checked either.
Oh no.
So they can run around and reckless like this because a lot of people won't do that.
Yeah.
If you've ever checked a woman of beauty, she looks shocked and appalled that you did it. If you told her that she did something wrong, because people don't tell them that, and they get away with stuff like this.
Yeah.
Now she about to get all this smoke. So have fun, Joy. Let's see you flash the girls and get your way out of this one.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember.
I think I found that clip you were talking about, by the way. I don't know if that's it or not.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp and Joy.
Skip and Shannon Undisputed. Yeah, we co-host, but this is your show. So I owe you a little gratitude. But Joy better not ask me. I mean, Joy, my girl, but Joy better not ask me when I'm coming back. You know what I'm saying? I mean, me and Joy cool, but we go, you know. Skip and Shannon.
All right, that ain't it. Edit that nonsense out. Never mind. I was wrong.
No, that was still funny though.
Yeah.
That's like, look, this is there's a bunch of clips out there too. I want to say there was a clip after this whole thing came to this, it was known about Joy Taylor. She still did her show, but everyone, she was kind of like dressed up, and then also not dressed up, but she's covered up, and then also the men that were there, they were like a little bit further away from her, and they all should be like that. See, this is the problem, and this is a conversation that this is going to be a segment by itself. This is the conversation where men have to start, or people in general have to start having a conversation, because men do not care for a woman's opinion in most sporting events. There's some good women out there, but by and large, there's really not that many. And the ones that are platformed on these television shows, like again, Malika Andrews, I don't know why she's on. I don't know why she's still on TV, because there's a growing sentiment that Malika Andrews has a problem with black men. I know she's going to say she doesn't, and I know a bunch of other black men are going to go out there and say like, "Hey, I support her. I don't have a problem with her." Now I think you're probably sleeping with her, even though she's married to a white dude. So now I think there's an issue though, because and outside Malika Andrews, I mean, I'm trying to think of another situation. I mean, Stephen A went viral with some women commentators about the WNBA, but again, that's Stephen A included in that. So, and Jamel Hill, she only goes viral for race baiting, and then she's been kicked. She pretty much can't work in the industry anymore. So, why are people pushing for something that is very known? Like, you don't have to add a woman. You can interview women, and if they show that they test well with the audience, fine. But you're losing audience members, and then the men that you have on there, when they do have a problem, when they do have an issue, they can't even say anything because they're going to be protected. Stephen A has been suspended a couple times because he's had a conversation. I thought Stephen A was going to get suspended over that whole WNBA thing, which really was a controversy. It was just a conversation. And one of the things that came out of that was Stephen A said, look, I opened the doors for a lot of people that are going to come after me. And for some of these women thinking that, no, you didn't. I opened my own door. No, you didn't. Stephen A and people like Skip Bayless have laid down the foundation for a lot of women. It's not just those two. There's some other people in there as well, too. But for most people out there, without Stephen A and Skip Bayless, they're not getting as far as they have or where they get. And Stephen A has put a lot of people on. So I don't want to hear anything about, I don't agree with Stephen A on some of his, political ideologies. But for the most part, when it comes to opening the door for a lot of women, Stephen A has definitely been that person to do that. But these women have created issues thinking that, they have worked their way into it. Joy Taylor doesn't have the experience. She was a radio host. The only reason she was only relevant because of her brother who played in NFL. That's it. There's nothing else there. Joy is good to look at. And Jason Whitlock said they tried to put her on her show. He didn't want to have her. And then he tried to force her on Skip's show. And Skip was like, no, I don't want her. And he's like, just do a favor for me. Look how that freaking worked out. You got a whole thing. Your whole empire is about to come crashing down because an executive couldn't keep his dick in his pants. And then you got Skip Bayless paying grab ass with some hairstylists.
So you said something earlier that we need to add some context to. You said that we generally don't care about women's opinions when it comes to sports. But I think it's important that people understand why that is, because they're going to just assume that you're being misogynistic because they're going to do a
you always got to break it down for the normies.
So I don't fully agree with you on that. There are some women out there who have respectable opinions and do very solid sports analysis, but they're not on Fox Sports or ESPN. I've seen some solid women on Cam and Mason's show that can break down sports with the best of them. I'll start there. But for the other ones, particularly the ones you see on ESPN and Fox Sports, the reason why nobody wants to hear you, A, because at least in football anyway, you never played, and B, every talking point that you have for the most part, not all the time, but most of the time, it comes back to victimhood. Look at
Yes.
all the people that talk about WNBA stuff over and over again. It's victim, victim, victim. We need this. Y'all not doing that. This is how we fix it. And it's like, ain't nobody trying to hear that.
Right.
Somebody who gets up at 6 a.m. and works 12 hours a day and got to get it out the mud for themselves, they're not trying to hear that victim stuff.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. Men and women code switch around each other. So in essence, what you're doing is you can't be yourself. If I'm sitting and talking with TR on the phone, we don't filter anything and we don't sugarcoat anything. But I also know that if I'm in a room with a whole bunch of the fellas on a sports team and a woman walks into the room, the entire conversation and the energy of that room changes. So in essence, women, what you are doing is you're taking a man out of his character because he knows that he can't talk to you the same way he talks to everybody else. And
Yeah.
it changes the conversation and it makes it worse because now he's walking on eggshells and sugarcoating and hoping that he doesn't piss you off and you go to HR.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard to incorporate women into these spaces. Now, I think it'll get better over time, but that's a point that y'all need to soak in and take seriously.
Yeah.
You will never ever have a man who is fully himself around you because he can't talk to you the way he talks to other men.
Yeah.
Period.
And that's a good point though, because one of the hosts, former hosts, was Jenny Taft, and even with Jenny Taft, she's alleged to have, or well, per Jason Whitlock, there were some conversations between, or it was the rumor was Jenny Taft, who was married at the time, might have been, having a different relationship with Skip, or I mean, sorry, not Skip, but Shannon Sharp. And so when you look at like there was a Jenny Taft had like kind of a couple on air spat with Skip, and she went to HR about it. Like Jenny Taft, nobody, I mean, and Jenny Taft, she was actually decent. She didn't really like try to put herself or her opinions in some of these conversations, but she crossed the line a few times, and ain't nobody coming, and nobody was watching Undisputed for Jenny Taft. No one watches. I mean, even with First Take, Molly Karam only got that job because of Skip leaving, and nobody's ever said like, hey, Molly Karam's had a great take. So when it comes to like people listening, and people say Molly Karam is good looking, and then she went viral because of whole Jalen. What was the dude named Jalen Rose? Yeah. She was married to him and he got a divorce or whatever.
Yeah.
So those are the conversations that, people like men have to start code switching on. Like, you're absolutely right. I mean, even when they were like pushing women into men's locker room, first of all, as a man, as if your wife or your fiance or whatever is going into a locker room with a bunch of athletes, and some of these athletes are not fully clothed. Some of these athletes, they will still try to steal your girl, sleep with your girl. You're okay with that? Like, I don't give a damn about the whole insecurity thing. Why would you allow your wife, like, this is what she wants to do? All right, well, when old boy's clapping her cheeks, you remember you asked for that. But again, women just don't belong in the locker room like that, because the men, the one thing that, or I guess you hit on a lot of points though, but this is the other thing too. Men start simping out when a woman gets in there into the locker room, or you invite a woman to like into a big group. Men start to simp out so hard, it becomes a competition. And I kind of believe that's kind of what happened here with the whole Skip Bayless and with the whole Shannon Sharp thing, because it's alleged that Shannon, or she said in the lawsuit, that Skip was jealous of Shannon sleeping with his hairstylist, and it may have turned into like some type of rivalry or some bad. I don't think Skip was really trying to give up the box, which we should probably talk about that real quick as well too. But at the end of the day, you women, if you want to be in this space, just understand that if you're good looking, people are going to think you got there because of your good looks, and it's on you to say like, hey, I know I'm good looking, but I'm gonna be a professional. And then you want to go to HR. Well, he said something illicit or something he was supposed to say to me. This is a space. Men in those spaces in the sports world. They should have to filter themselves. People in general. I understand if you're in like some professional office environment. Yeah, you got to keep it clean. But if you're working in those spaces where you're talking about sports and men issues, or really not even men issues, but sport issues, yeah, people are going to say things that you may not like, but you got to go along with it. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I've beat this horse too many times. Ultimately, though, this is a reality check for Joy. And I almost forgot Joe Budden went at her not too long ago, less than a year ago, because she was on some platform saying that all men wanted her. which
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean that's probably true. Most men who are heterosexual and some women too, by the way, probably want her.
sure, yeah.
But again, women, you have to understand that when you enter a room full of men, it changes the energy and the dynamic, and that's why you'll always struggle to some degree
Well,
with being in the sports world. But here's the other thing I want to say: with if you ask somebody like this why it didn't work out or why they failed, you already know what their answer is going to be: misogyny and racism. It can't always be that all the time.
sure.
It just can't, and that's what it always comes to. We know your playbook, and it's getting tired and wore out.
Yeah. Here's the theory that I don't think anyone has brought up yet, though. What if this is all was a setup, though? Because if she planned on me tooing, let's say like, because again, the guy I had him up here earlier, Charlie Dixon. So, Mister, first of all, pause. But what if this was like one big setup? Because Charlie Dixon, obviously the guy can get stuff done, and this is the guy that was clapping Joy's cheeks allegedly. Okay, Fox One executive. What if this is one set up by Charlie though? Because he knows that Joy, pretty much has him, so he has to find a way to like he doesn't get me too'd in this situation.
Ah, yeah.
Think about it, like he
Nip
can't.
it in the bud before it becomes a real problem.
Right. And he removes Joy Taylor's opportunity to me to him because this is still alleged. She still has to prove it. And right now, they haven't been, there may be some recordings, but I don't think there's any recordings on, Charlie Dixon's and Joy Taylor's side. This is really just recordings between the hairstylist and Skip Bayless. So what if he, is using her? He's like, look, you're about to get fired though. But here's what's going to happen. And also, real quick, it was Charlie Dixon. Well, according to the lawsuit, she said Charlie Dixon, told Skip Bayless that she was sleeping with Shannon Sharp. So what if they got something going on in the background where he's like, look, they're going to let you go because, Skip is no longer here. But if you can help me out in this situation, create this Me Too thing, slander Joy, take her off the chessboard, and then they'll probably have like some type of settlement though, because Skip doesn't even work there anymore. So I don't know what they're gonna do there, and it's gonna be hard for her to prove unless she has like recordings and he did something over text or something. Like unless he has something like that, I don't know how she's gonna be able to prove it. And I still don't believe Skip was gonna pay 1.5 for the box, and I don't believe even if he did offer her. She's a single mom, which I've seen that thrown around a lot too. I'm like, well, where's the father at? Like, give the kid to the father since she's such a single mom. The hairstylists, they don't make a lot of money. So she's turning out $1.5 million and she has like a cancer diagnosis. Again,
she might have a little bit of a bag though. She's a celebrity hairstylist. She's not a hairstylist that's posted up on the block.
Right, but she's not making like crazy money like that though. And 1.5 million is going to change like people in her situation. They're going to change. They're going to change them a lot. So she had lost her job, and again, she's trying to file a lawsuit. And part of that lawsuit is she's trying to get lost wages, and anyone can jump into that lawsuit. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's going to be more people in there. But again, going back to Mr. Charlie. I think he may have orchestrated all of this because he needs to get this Me Too allegation. He needs to take some steam, take some heat off of it, because Joy always had that in her back pocket, and maybe they had it fallen out or something. There's no way he's going to be out of it, because if Joy had came out and said this, he'd be out of the job. He would have been fired. I know for a fact he would have been fired. That's just how that stuff goes.
Hey, so if that lawsuit is true and they offered her 1.5 and she turned that down, that makes her credible to me, because it tells me that she's doing this lawsuit with good intentions to make the workplace better for women. She could have took the 1.5 and rode off into the sunset.
See, I feel like if she had stayed working there, because she didn't file a lawsuit till she left. So had she just stayed working there and filed the lawsuit and they fired her after the fact, then I understand that, because then it's like, retaliatory. But she didn't do that. She waited. Not waited, but that's when she decided to file the lawsuits, when she got fired. So maybe she got blacklisted too. Which a lot of women, you kind of find out the hard way as well too, though. You want to have these lawsuits, or you want to act like you are bigger than the show, you end up getting fired, then you get blacklisted, you can't work in the industry anymore, which we're seeing that with Jemele Hill. But again, Jemele Hill's not, it's not because of her sports takes, it's because of the whole woke crap.
This takes me back to something Stephen A. said a long time ago, and I forget which podcast he said this on. And he never mentioned names, but he said in the industry that he's in, you'd be surprised. Because when we look at these women anchors in this industry, most of them are beautiful, even the sideline reporters.
Yeah, they're all.
And one thing that Stephen A. was adamant about, and he said he'd never mention names, is you'd be surprised who was getting tossed around in this industry. You'd
Yeah.
really be surprised. So
Yeah.
I ain't surprised by none of this. She has good looks. She used it to get what she wanted. My issue was you kind of oppressed this woman who's filing this lawsuit. So you're not a feminist. You're not a pro-black. Stop acting like you are, and just going ahead and just do what you do to get your bag like you've been doing.
Yeah. And it's also interesting with the feminists. I don't know why feminists are even defending this. If you're going to believe all women, then you should believe the hairstylist. And then also, if she went to Joy for help and Joy did nothing or just said like, hey, get over it, then you should really have a bigger problem with Joy Taylor. But because she's playing the black card and the woman that filed the lawsuit is not black, that's why they're coming to Joy's defense. I've seen a couple of videos where people are defending like it's so hard for a black woman, blah blah blah. This woman has ever said anything about black, in which I mean I don't need people to say anything about black, but she sure plays a gender card. Talk about how hard it is, the positions she has to get into, the things she has to like watch around her mouth. I bet.
Yeah, when convenient. I don't trust her. We'll see what happens though.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna go to the next topic.
Stand right in front of the congregation. Yeah, right in front of you. Don't touch that table.
I want to apologize to everybody in here because I am pregnant. I'm sorry, y'all. And I just hope that y'all all forgive me and while praying for me.
They say, as soon as you repent, then you never wait later to repent. If you sin, you don't wait no 2, 3. You don't wait till the baby come to repent. You repent now. You just don't do it again. But you got to repent. I don't care how you look at it. You already know. You already know what time it is. I told her. It's not what you think it is. The church praying for you. We ain't gonna condone your sin now. We ain't gonna do that. Ain't no baby showers going on. That's what you lose out at. You have a baby out of wedlock, ain't no baby showers. Nobody at this church about to attend one.
All right. And then also, not just, there's that response, but then also, this is Kendra G. And Kendra G is a popular, I guess she was a radio host for a little bit, but now she's transitioned to a dating coach after the passing of Kevin Samuels. She's pretty much Kevin Samuels, essentially what he wanted to do was create a dating platform, or at least have some type of community where he had that, but he was going to go to the next level with it as well too. Well, Kendra G has swagger jacked it, but she is out here saying, does anyone know this lady's Instagram, Facebook page? Let's connect with her so she can be loved on properly, because we all have sinned, myself included. Let's change this moment around for her. So, MC, thoughts? And again, real quick, in that caption, it said a woman. That was a teenager. So I don't want to hear anything about that's a woman. Well, now that she's gotten pregnant, yeah, she definitely is a woman, but though she still is a teenager. She's not over 18.
So I look at this two different ways. I'll start with what the church did wrong. Um, that young woman is a minor. If that pastor forced her to get up there and make that confession in front of that church, he was trash for that. And even more trash than him are the parents of that minor for allowing it to happen. You're not about to publicly embarrass my daughter. If anybody's going to publicly embarrass my daughter, it'll be me,
Sure.
not you, sir. So in that regard, it would have been some furniture moving. I would have said something. I'd be like, look, you about to apologize to my little girl, or there's about to be some furniture moving. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You can go
You
call
think the
your
dad was
security,
involved?
your ushers. I, no, more than likely not.
That's what I thought.
That's
Yeah.
what the church did wrong. But here's, in my opinion, what the church did right. We tend to celebrate things that are anti-family in this society.
Yeah.
More than likely, and the statistics show that this young lady, she may be with the guy who knocked her up now, but more than likely it ain't going to work out.
If she was with that
So
guy, he should have been up there too. So that's why I don't think she
that
was
was
with
the
that
other
guy.
thing. He definitely should have been up there too. But look, I agree with the I'm not pulling up to your baby shower type stuff. Like those are the conversations that I will have with my daughter. Like my daughter understands that any man that she gives herself to has to love her more than I do because there's no greater love on this planet between a husband and a wife. Only the love you get from God is greater. So she's going to understand that, number one. Number two, she's going to understand that if you get knocked up, all the blessings that I have stored up and saved for you are going to your kids now, not you.
Right.
You forfeited that when you stepped outside of my protection. That's just what it is. So I can't control what you do, but if you get knocked up, you're going to be taking care of this kid. You're going to get a job, and you're still going to go to school while you're living in my house. So she has to take some type of accountability, but that accountability should have been private, and it should have came from her parents and her family, not her church. Now, if she wants to get up, if she did it on her own and she got up there and she said that in the church, okay, cool, that was her choice. I have no problem with that. But one of the problems that we have is we tend to let people just do whatever they want and we don't even try to tell them the risk or what's wrong with what you're doing. We just accept it. Oh, I don't want to judge. I don't want to be in other people's business.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, and now I'm talking to black folks because we do this more than anybody. And it's the reason why we don't have a strong family foundation, why we really don't have a foundation of accountability like we should. And women don't check women at all. Let's
Nope.
just be honest. They don't. Women let women run wild and don't care. The mama probably didn't think it was a big deal. Men will tell you in a minute when you're around a man and you coming off like a BAN, and if you don't know what a BAN is, look it up.
Mm.
But if you coming off as soft or weak, more than likely somebody gonna pull your card and call that joker out. So that's how I kind of look at it. The church was wrong, but the church was also right.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have a different opinion on this one. So I'm okay with the church doing. I mean, here's the thing. So the black church hasn't had the best track record recently. There's been a couple, especially with the whole Kamala Harris thing, where they pretty much have sold themselves out for Kamala, even though separation of politics and church, that's a whole nother conversation. But anyways, I thought this was interesting though, because I remember like growing up, there was a friend, or actually a family friend, told me a story about this is almost the same thing that kind of happened where a teenage girl had to get up there to in front of the congregation and tell everyone that she was pregnant and broke her heart. But I guess the church rallied around her. But as you can see, when she leaves, and even though again, that's why I know this was a teenager, she didn't have to say a whole lot, and it is what it is. But the people get up there and they're like just clapping for her. They're all standing up. That's going to, especially the men's side. I understand the women doing it, but all the black men there, all the men in general, really, that's going to be one of y'all have to take care of this. And you think that's going to be a good situation where you are trying to, who knows where the father is, the father of the kid. He still might be around. Maybe he, is some Pookie, Ray Ray, or who knows where that guy is, but the guy's going to be around somewhere. And so for all those men getting up there clapping up like it's going to be okay, it's not going to be okay. I'm glad the pastor said that though. But the pastor, or and not even so much for the pastor though, but essentially, I guess I have more issue with like some of the women that are coming out here because, like I said, with Kendra G, she's trying to say like, oh, we all have made mistakes. This isn't just a mistake. This girl is going to bring another human into this world. So don't
Right.
like say, hey, this is just we all have made mistakes. No, this mistake is going to be with her for at least 9 months. You know who else said they made a mistake was Travis Hunter's mom said she had made a mistake and the church told her that she was never going to be XYZ. I'm like, I get it, fine, whatever. Like, these aren't just mistakes, though. People got to start having a real conversation. Look, I know she messed up by getting pregnant, okay? And I'm not sure if she's acting like, Kendra G is acting like the church made a grave mistake by pointing this stuff out. If you are knocked up and you're like some teenager, sorry, we agree with that. You don't get a baby shower. You don't get those additional blessings. There are a lot of women out here that have had multiple baby showers. You know what's funny? Maybe I was like maybe when I was 20 in my 20s and I was working around like just most of the jobs I've worked in has just been around white people. And I asked somebody about, oh, you can have a baby shower? Like, no, it's my third one. I was like, oh yeah, so you have a baby shower, right? And she was like, no, you don't have a baby shower. It's really the baby shower just reserved for the first one. I'm like, what? I have seen multiple women from my community having multiple baby showers when they have a kid. And again, I didn't think that was even weird. Like, I this is the thing is that it's good that the pastor said this out loud though, but I know a lot of men are gonna tuck their tail and they're gonna like the one black woman's God and she's they're gonna celebrate this or try to help her take care of her and everything. I'm not saying you got to cast her out like a leper or anything, but at least call it for what it is. And if you want to help, then say you're going to help because she's going to be on a very difficult road. But don't try to act like this is going to be like one of those Hollywood stories where this person or she's going to grow up and have the next Travis Hunter or the next LeBron James. That is not going to happen. If anything, you got to start telling her how the world's going to treat her and what she's got to start getting in line because she's not going to have raise, especially if she has a boy. This is going to be even there's going to be two lost souls at that point though, because again, women cannot raise boys. They can help them try to be good adults, but they can't raise men to be men. That's just not possible. And that's one of the things that people need to start having a real conversation on. But back to her, when it comes to like her being in this situation, yeah, it's terrible. And I don't have a problem with the pastor say. I have a problem with all the men, clapping and standing up and acting like, we're gonna get her through this. No, you're not. You're not going to be involved with this kid. You're not going to do anything. If this kid makes it to 16 and doesn't get in trouble with the law, maybe, there'll probably be some mentorship there. But by that time, these men are going to be in their 50s and 60s. So again, what are they going to do? I'm actually surprised there are a lot of black men in this church too, with the, recent more black men not attending the black church. But go ahead.
They were older, but I think you misunderstood my point. I don't think we disagree. I'm glad the pastor took the stance that he took because most churches bend to the world. They don't bend to the Bible or the Word of God. They bend to the world. He's not bending to the world there. All I'm saying is it wasn't his story to tell. She needed to, on her own accord, go up there if she chose to. The church is going to find out she's pregnant regardless when she starts to grow. So she'll have to tell somebody at some point. I'm saying if he told her to go up, if he forced her to go up there and do it, he was trash for that. Everything else I don't have a problem with.
Gotcha.
But that's all I'm saying. And look, I heard the coldest thing the other day, and this is another way that more and more men are thinking like this. So I'm gonna quote this. There's a woman who has a podcast by the name of Randy Rosario. You might know her because she hangs with Anton Daniels a little bit.
Yeah.
She has a panel discussion show that I like because it's short and to the point, and it helps me understand women and men's perspectives different from mine. But there was a guy on there who was a high value earning individual, making pretty good money. Seems like he was getting a lot of attention from the women. But he said, when I meet a woman who has a child with another man, I just assume I treat it like she's married to him because she's always going to be attached to him. She'll never disconnect. And Kevin Samuels used to always say, your child's father is the greatest you will do when it comes to finding a man. So everybody else ain't going to compare to him. It's going to be lesser to some degree. So she really doesn't understand what's coming for her. And I think a lot of women don't think that because society, any mistake that a woman makes, society will help you clean it up, whether it be the government, whether it be your network of
Case
people.
example.
If a woman loses her home, they have homeless shelters exclusively for women. I used to do a little bit of security for one,
Yeah.
but they don't have stuff like that for men. Like men, if you fail, you fail, bro. You might be able to get unemployment for a little bit, sign up for welfare, whatever. But they have resources for single baby mothers that where you can get stuff from the state, like food vouchers, Section 8, temporary housing. All of these programs were designed for women.
Yes.
So they don't really think of it as a big of a deal as we do because for every mistake that you make, you have an out. You have a safety net, you have a program, you have resources. And I think that kind of when you have that safety net, you're not afraid to jump because you know if you fail, you'll land on that safety net. We don't have safety nets to that extent. So we
Yeah.
got to figure it out.
And she has the church. So let that been a young man going there and saying like, hey, I knocked up this, I'm not actually knocked up this chick. They're not going to be coming out there to try to come save him. He's not going to get all these resources. I doubt it even goes viral. Like we had the same conversation about men, just young men, like especially teenage boys trying to act like adults. Nobody's having this conversation. This doesn't even go viral. This is only going viral because she's a black teenager and a woman, girl, and people are thinking that the black church, which I did see a lot of support in there, it's just that they didn't like what the pastor had to say. So, if anything, I would say the pastor probably took a little bit light on them, or in
Yeah.
that conversation.
And I don't want to go too hard at the church because there's enough people doing that already. There are some great churches out there, man. I've been to churches that have. I went to a church that hasn't had a divorce in it since 1972. I've
Wow,
been to
that's
churches
church.
like that. I've been to churches where they will pay financial advisors to come in and speak with the people in separate meetings and help them put plans together to get
Yeah,
themselves out of debt.
those are the real. Yeah, those are the churches that they understand the plight of their flock, and they're bringing in people to either help
Yep.
them out or at least help them move forward.
I've been to churches that teach people that have been married for 25 plus years exercises that they can do to increase their stamina and flow in the bedroom. Like these are
Yeah,
the churches that are doing the
they should be
real
talking
work
about
for
that too.
families.
That's real stuff.
That's my frustration. Churches run away from the real topics that need to be talked about. I like the fact that he took this head on. I just didn't like the way he approached it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Was this a black church or was this a when I say black, you know what I mean when I say black church. So was this a black church or not a black church?
So I tell you this, I did not start stepping outside of black churches until I was in my 20s. I stopped looking at churches based on race and actually the results that they were getting. Once I made that shift, and don't get me wrong, I still, if we're being honest, black churches have better praise and worship. So I'm always going to miss that part
Oh yeah,
of
you're
it.
definitely have fun. Yes.
Yeah. But to answer your question, most of the churches that I go to now have a fairly mixed crowd. The
Yeah.
one I attend now is mostly black and mostly men, which is unheard of for a church.
Yeah. And the only reason I asked that though, because the churches that I've been into, I've seen a different level of resources at these church. And I understand that, oh, well, they're rich or blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Point is what they do with those resources. Like the churches that, when I was growing up, they always had like a building fund or something. They've always
Yeah.
had like, we got to do some type of donation drive for the church or whatnot, or a food drive or whatever. With these churches are definitely, they help. They had like their own, not like a Goodwill, but they had their own, like if you needed like some clothes or something, you can actually go into the place
Yeah.
and you're not purchasing anything. Just if you need it, then you go in there or you donate stuff to the church. That's amazing. And then this other church did stuff with people in the prison, trying to have the word there.
Ministry, yeah.
This other church, and this is a mixed church. That's why I asked you if it was a black or mixed church. I have seen a big difference between going to a black church and a mixed church. And I understand we're in the Midwest, or at least I'm in the Midwest. And so the church is probably going to be a little bit different than the churches in the South. But at the end of the day, like these churches are doing something a little bit different where they're reaching out to people and they understand that you can't just say, hey, let's just have like Bible night or something. Like these churches are doing something completely different, and people should actually go outside their comfort zones and look at other churches, or at least attend other churches. I'm not saying you got to go to a mixed church, but you should definitely take a look at it, and also vice versa too, because I'm sure people that go to mixed churches all the time are predominantly white churches, I guess, or when the congregants are white. You can go to a black church and see some different level of praise and worship, but again, it's a very difficult conversation though, but it's something that needs to be discussed. And I think I don't think anything, like we're both agreeing on what the pastor said. And if she got up there, maybe she wanted to do it herself as well too, which, like I said, I told you a story. I heard the chick, the girl that went up there and told the flock, and told the congregation that she was pregnant. But yeah, I don't hear a lot of that happen. Actually, I'm surprised this even went viral.
While we on the subject of church, and I'm talking to men now, if you're dating a woman who's I'm saying this as a Christian, if you're dating a woman who's too into the church, that could be a problem too, and I'll tell you why. Because in essence, I've seen women who are into their pastor so much, it's almost like they're married to them. So if there's ever a day where she wants to attach herself to you, and you say, we're going to leave this church for this church, or we're going to take option B instead of option A, but the pastor is saying option A, she going to roll with the pastor over you, bro. So your house is already out of order. So y'all in a situation where your house ain't in order at all. At all times, I'm the head of my house. I'm following God. I'm following the pastor, but I'm the head of my house. And that's the type of mentality we got to get back to.
Yeah.
And another thing, while we own this church stuff, look, we do a very bad job of making Christianity exciting. Like I just told you the three things that I gave you three specific examples, but man, if you ever read the Song of Songs, man, that is one of the dopest, most sexual books in the Bible. And you could use that as a foundation to get something really popping off with your spouse, man. Like church does a bad job of marketing and branding itself, but I'm okay with that too, because churches were never meant to be a part of the world.
Yeah. No, it's a very good point though. So, but yeah, let's go to the next topic.
That's what this is about. This is about Mike Vrabel. That's who they wanted. No question about it. And he's a more seasoned, more experienced coach. I don't like this. They call it Black Friday Black Monday rather, for a reason. This certainly typifies it. I don't know why it's not called White Monday. Doug Peterson got fired from Jacksonville. He deserved that firing. Gerard Mayo clearly was not given an opportunity, a lengthy enough opportunity, considering what Bill Belichick left him with from a talent perspective, considering the record, considering the way the team performed. He didn't help himself with some of the comments he made, calling the team soft and what have you, and having to retract statements. And we get all of that. But no matter what we can point to, at the end of the day, the folks in New England were turning against Gerard Mayo. We all know this. And I think it has something to do with the fact that Vrabel is available. And that's really what's going on here. They don't want to lose him, especially the team like the New York Jets. They want to be in the running, and they can't do that with him as the head coach.
Absolutely. I hope Marlon Cameron.
That's what this is about.
Oh, that was the end of the clip. I was gonna say, hey, did Molly Cameron have something to add to that clip?
Oh, she got to get hers in. Molly thinks she a part of the show for real.
Well, technically, she became part of the show after Max Kellerman got ousted out, which that was always a bad fit, anyways. So.
I liked Max, but I might have been in the minority in that regard. I actually met him in person at the MGM in Vegas too. Dude is real cool.
Oh yeah, he's a phenomenal boxing commentator. Dude's legit.
No doubt. So I guess the first question is, let's just get it out the way. Do you see any racism here at TR?
Hell no. All this is look, Stephen A is always quick to this is why Stephen A is so difficult to like want to be on his side sometimes though, when he's talking about when he's having the conversations about being a Republican or some of the things that the Democrats are doing are alienating people from the base. And I think Stephen A probably did vote for Trump, but he has a safe on for face save face that he didn't vote for Trump. Like, I would never vote for Trump, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so Stephen A always is on the fence about a lot of things. But when it comes to a race, he never misses that train. Never misses that train when it's time to like say, hey, this is some race baiting. It's race baiting time. Like, he reminds me of Jamel Hill, actually, though, because she never misses that train either. So with Gerard Mayo, when he first, if I could find the video, I'll play it. But when he first got to New England, they were, I mean, Bob Kraft, the dude was talking about like, hey, I don't see color. And, you know, Gerard Mayo's, he's been with the organization, which he doesn't really have Gerard Mayo doesn't have the pedigree like some other coaches. But, you know, there's some other coaches that have been given that same position as well, too, that didn't have a pedigree. So it is what it is. The bottom line is when Bob Kraft got there, he was just hiring him because he thought he was a good fit for the position. And he'd be a good fit. But also, Gerard Mayo started playing the race car as soon as he got there. Like, the media went along with it. And then, look, at the end of the day, when it comes to football, they don't want to hear nothing about race. They don't want to hear anything about, like, you know, what your values are, blah, blah, blah. Can you lead this team? Can you be a leader amongst men? Can you, like, step into the shoes of Bill Belichick, which no one's going to be able to step into those shoes, at least not the first year. It's going to take some time. I understand he didn't have a lot of weapons, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Too bad, so sad. Like, at the end of the day, if you lose first of all, if you lose the team, which it sounded like he did, you're gone. If you lose the fans, you're definitely gone. So, and you start doing some crazy stuff outside of football, you're going to be gone in most cases anyways. You got to win. At the end of the day, like, you got to turn lemon and lemonades. And I know that's going to sound cliche, and I know some people are going to be like, well, it's another black coach. Well, he's getting paid. He's going to get a check for wherever he signed to take that job. He's getting a full check. So it's not all sad, and he can get another job somewhere else in the league.
There's so many different angles I can take with this. Before I get to Gerard Mayo, let's start with Antonio Pierce with the Raiders.
Yeah. Yep.
He earned that job. And the reason why I say that is, you remember when he became the interim coach the previous year, and he had the Raiders playing really great the second half of the season. I think they finished the season on a winning streak.
Yes.
So that propelled him to the head coaching job. The players loved him. They were winning games. They looked like they were finally turning stuff around. They regressed this season. They're 4-13 now, and they weren't just beating chumps that were just placed in front of them. I think they beat the Chiefs one time, and then they beat I think he beat all of his rivals in the AFC West at least once.
Well, the Chiefs melded in. The Chiefs melded in. That was the last game of the season, I want to say.
They still, though, it counts for something. That doesn't negate the fact that they were on a winning streak the second half of the season. I don't remember how many games it was, but the second half of last year's season, he had the Raiders playing dope. Now, this year they've regressed. So you could probably justify letting them go, because 4-13 is a huge regression, especially when you finish the prior season on a winning streak. But also, the Raiders are a dysfunctional franchise. They still owe John Gruden for a 10-year contract. They make horrible decisions after horrible. Yeah, remember when they signed Gruden?
He got a Bobby Bonilla contract?
When they signed Gruden, that was a 10-year contract.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It was like $100 million, right? Or it was like,
I don't remember what the amount was. Now,
yes,
I think there's some legal things involved here, because, you know, when they found some of his emails and texts, they tried to make the argument that he forfeited the contract. I don't know how that turned out.
Yeah.
But I do know they gave him a 10-year contract. So the Raiders are no strangers to horrible decisions. That's what I'm going to say about the Raiders.
Well, was John Gruden really a bad fit for the Raiders prior to the email scandal?
Look, I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, so I'm not going to trash Gruden. He got us a Super Bowl. Now, he did it with Tony Dungy's team.
I was about to say.
And let's be clear, Tony Dungy, every black coach that you see in the NFL right now, you need to thank Tony Dungy for it, because he opened that door first.
And Mike Tomlin, too, I would say.
Mike Tomlin came from Tony Dungy.
Oh, yeah. The tree.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin is under the Tony Dungy tree, so it's Tony Dungy.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to trash Gruden. You can say the emails and the texts were homophobic, racist, blah, blah, blah. The question was, is he a good coach? I think he is a good coach. He just struggles to bond with these new age players. I think ultimately that's what got him in with the Raiders. Now, the Patriots, I will agree with you. He came in there pulling the race card. knowing how the NFL feels about controversy when it comes to race, you kind of shot yourself in the foot, dude.
Yeah.
You succeeded Bill Belichick. You have an owner of a team who half the time I don't even know if he's there or not. If he ain't getting rubbing tubs in a massage parlor, I don't know what the hell he's doing. So he walked into a bad situation. Whoever came in after Bill Belichick was going to fail. Let's be clear. And Tom Brady for that matter. Brady
Yeah.
left, Belichick left. Whoever came in was going to take that L. So me personally, I would not have taken that job. Not if I seriously wanted to be a head coach because you were going to fail no matter what. How do you follow that many Super Bowl rings? You
Well,
don't.
hold on. Gerard Mayo. Oh, you know what? He was only getting $3.5 million on this. I thought he was getting more than that.
So he was a stopgap. It sounds like he was a stopgap because that's not even a standard coaching contract. They get at least $4 to $5 million a year.
Yeah, it said he signed a 3-year, $8.4 million contract with the Patriots, including 600. So he got $6 million signing bonus.
He was a stopgap.
Yeah, $6 million signing bonus, $6 million guaranteed. So an average salary of 2.8. So now on the high end.
Yeah, and this is going to turn into Rooney Rule conversations again. And by the way, the Rooney Rule
Joke.
to me is hit or miss on how effective it was. But I also think we're focusing on the wrong things. The NFL, last time I checked, is 60% black, right? Why isn't that translating into ownership? I don't give a damn about the coaches in the GM spot. Where's the owners at? Why don't we have a black owner yet? Is it terrible mismanagement of money? Is it racism? Like, I don't know what the hell it is. I mean, Jay-Z tried to become an owner at one point before he do it the sports agent route. That's the conversation that needs
Wasn't
to
he
happen.
owner with the Brooklyn or were they the Nets? I know not the Nets, but were they after that?
You're talking about the Nets, but that's NBA.
Oh,
Once Jay-Z started his sports agency, he had to forfeit his ownership of any sports franchise because now he got a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Roc Nation still has their sports agency or not, but I know he is a consultant for the NFL when it comes to these Super Bowl halftime shows.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I would argue that the best coach in the league right now is Mike Tomlin. I've never seen a coach do what he's done with what little resources he has. So there's one side of it.
Is that a good thing though? Is that a good thing? Because you're right. He's never had a losing season.
Right.
But I bet people, I mean, Eagles fan here. Andy Reid, phenomenal. You know, he did a lot. He had some flaws, but for the most part, Andy Reid is beloved there, you know. However, when he came to his last couple of years, Andy Reid had to go. He just had to go. I'm not advocating for Mike Tomlin to be gone, but it comes a point where either the team stops listening to you, which what happened in Gerard Mayo's case. I don't know what happened in Antonio Pierce other than, you know, he didn't have the weapons either. That the team stopped listening to him. I don't know. I wasn't even watching him that much. But when it came to like, Andy Reid, he just had to go. And the team just needed to go in a different direction. And also, I think some front office personnel, I think they got fired in Oakland. I don't know if that was the same case with, in the New England. But anyone that was associated with that hiring, they should probably get fired too. I mean, GMs have been getting fired.
Oh yeah, if they're getting the GM out of there, the coach is definitely going to get out of there next.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
Hey, real quick, I looked up a list of people that were fired within 1 year, just because, again, Stephen A. loves to play this race card. I'm like, there's been quite a few white coaches that have been fired in the first year. So again, Antonio Pierce recently, but Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, and some of these coaches didn't really have the pedigree to get in there. But again, Nathaniel Hackett, Urban Meyer, and people forget about that. That was just recent. So maybe the Jacksonville are just cursed.
He was grabbing cheeks or something. Didn't they have to get him out of there for that?
Oh, yeah.
Or was that in college? I don't remember.
Probably both. But either way, he still got fired. Hugh Jackson for the Raiders. Again, Raiders are just cursed. Freddie Kitchens for the Browns. Another cursed franchise. And then also Steve Wilkes. There was Chip Kelly. Like people forget about that San Francisco team.
Chip.
Chip
Chip got caught with the side chick. No, that's not Chip. That's the guy from Louisville. Never mind.
Yeah. No, but Chip Kelly, I mean, he left the Eagles and he got ran out of Philadelphia with the Eagles. But and then Jim Tomsula, also another 40, which the 49ers on here twice, firing their coach after 2 seasons. It looked like the Browns are on here a couple times. Rod Chudzinski, 2013. So yeah, I mean, there's more white players, white coaches on here getting fired in that first season than there are black coaches getting fired in that first season, and nobody's having that conversation. So this is nothing to do with racism. This is all to do with like, hey, bad timing. And I'm actually, you know what, controversial or not, I'm okay with NFL teams picking their best friend or a friend of the friend, or hey, this guy, I just felt like who was that? Who was it? The Oakland that said they picked some dude off he got advice from like some dude off the street to pick their next coach or something. I forget who it was.
Sounds like a very Raiders thing to do, honestly.
Or even like the Colts coach, Jim Irsay. That dude is bananas. That dude's crazy. I would never trust him with a football team, but here we are. He got a football team.
He's about the owner, Jim Irsay, not the coach.
Yeah. That's my bad. Yeah, the coach. The owner, Jim Irsay. These owners, they're allowed to pick who they want to pick, and good choice or not. I mean, I'm really surprised that I thought Jared Mayo, well, at least Gerard Mayo will be there at least a couple of years, just because of Bob Kraft. He's all super woke anyways. I just thought he was gonna give him a couple of years just because he's like, hey, it's a terrible year. It's right after Bill Belichick. I'm gonna give you a couple of differences. But when you lose the team and you stand on this woke crap, you're gonna be fired. Like, people know this. Players know this. Teams know this. Most companies know this. You stand on this woke shit nowadays going into 2025, you're probably gonna lose your job or you're gonna get blacklisted.
All right, so I see all of that, and I'll raise you this, and I'm gonna drop this name on you, and you know where I'm about to go when I say this name. Eric Bieniemy. Why hasn't he had an NFL coaching job yet? You can't say it's because he's not qualified. So what other reason is there?
So from what I've heard about Eric, or at least what I've seen when his name is discussed, it seems like Andy Reid is the one getting all of the credit, which I don't know.
So Doug Peterson is an offensive-minded coach, right? He came under it. He's an Andy Reid coaching tree guy, right? He got out.
Dougie and the Eagles got Dougie out of there as soon as he had a couple. I mean, and Dougie got
to Jacksonville. Eagles got him out of there. Then he went to Jacksonville.
Yeah, and he just got out of there too. He just got fired. So,
And Eric Bieniemy got the Patrick Mahomes seal of approval. Patrick Mahomes is out here endorsing Bieniemy, like, hey, somebody to hire this dude.
See, but that's the thing, though, is like, I mean, I don't understand why they're not doing it, and maybe Andy Reid needs to do. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he has a terrible agent. That's something I can come down to it, because there's plenty of teams that should take a look at Eric. But if they're starting to think that Eric is not, and Eric, is he offense or is it defense? Which one?
He's an offensive coordinator.
Yeah. So usually the OC, they're the ones that getting the job. So I understand why they're not getting the job, but I got one better for you too. Your coach, like, why hasn't he been fired? He might get fired, and they just got to the Super Bowl right after. I mean, not Super Bowl, but they got to the playoffs right after losing Tom Brady.
One thing I could tell you about Todd Bowles, because I follow Tampa Bay like a hawk. He gives boring interviews. He's very monotone with his talk, but the players, they love you, man. They love you. And that's probably what keeps him around the most. He's a defensive-minded guy. I'm wondering why he hasn't fixed our secondary these last couple of years. But
yeah,
that's going to keep in. And we just won a division 5 times in a row, so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So going back to Stephen A. and then other people having this conversation, is it fair why are they still having these conversations about race? Because if you're saying it's about race, then you got to be honest with all the other people that were fired. But Stephen A. is not doing that. Stephen A. reminds me of legacy media or mainstream media, where they omit the whole, this is all about race because it's, click friendly, but they're not really being honest. Like, that's the conversation. I don't know why, like Stephen A. I mean, he's still going to. I mean, Stephen A. is more. I want to say maybe he's more right than wrong in most cases, but he's definitely wrong, especially when it comes to race. It's usually never about race. Do you remember when Stephen A. went off on what's his face, the Brooklyn team, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving? They advocated for Steve Nash to get there. Steve Nash didn't deserve that damn position. Steve Nash had never really organized or never really coached an NBA team. I think I don't know. He was a coach. I think he was just like helping or something. Like when he was in Phoenix after he had retired. But Steve Nash didn't have any coaching experience. Matter of fact, Steve Kerr didn't have any coaching experience. And I saw all
who's
these
coaching the Lakers right now?
Well, who advocated for boy to get there? That was LeBron
I
James.
can't compare the NBA to the NFL because look, let's just say the NBA is run by the stars. It's not the stars tell people what to do. We've seen it time and time again.
Did we just do a video about why the NBA is declining? Okay, got it.
That might be why.
Yeah.
They're calling the shots. The stars are basically GMs. They wait. I've seen LeBron. He did this when he was in Cleveland with David.
Yeah.
But I've seen it a few times with the Lakers. He'll wave off the play call that the coach threw in. He's like, no, we're going to do this instead.
Yeah. Which I think
I can't compare that to the NFL.
I think Stephen A. has been honest with LeBron James, though. But, I mean, for them to say it's racism, I mean, racism when it comes to stuff like that's just not true. And if it really was racism, Mike Tomlin, I mean, again, he's never had a losing record, but he only has one Super Bowl win. And he got that from I forget the coach that was there before him. So it's essentially with his team. I forget that coach's name. But anyways, he got the Super Bowl win. And I think he's only been to Super Bowl one time since then, outside of the first Super Bowl win. And chat, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I mean, he hasn't been fired. And again, if we're keeping coaches because of winning records, but not winning the Super Bowl, at some point you got to go in a different direction because because it's a well-run organization. That's probably why he's staying though. But I mean, is that really a reason?
Yeah, and Mike Vrabel was another name that floats. Now, I'm taking it back to the white folks now. Mike Vrabel was a name that's being floated around as a possible coaching candidate in multiple places. And that's one that has me scratching my head as well. Because if I recall, he didn't accomplish much in Tennessee. His name keeps getting thrown around. He's a Patriots guy. Are the Patriots going to go after him too? Like, I see people like him. And I'm trying to remember the last coach of the Indianapolis Colts. He worked at ESPN, and then I think he quit ESPN mid-season to go coach them. I think his name was it Jeff Saturday?
I thought that was Arizona, but you're right. Jeff Saturday did do. Yeah, it was Jeff Saturday. Yes.
So I'm seeing stuff like this, and then I'm looking at Eric Bieniemy, and I'm like, I'm not saying it's racism, but I am saying it's confusing. Like what is the difference here?
The difference is you gotta know the right people. You're not. I mean, you know who does this very well that men just do not understand is women. Women understand. Most guys, hey, they're not going to listen to me because I can tell them everything. I tell them, how to get a bag or something. They're not going to listen to me. They have to resort to other things. And I'm not saying men got to start sleeping their way up, which no man does that. But men they got to start networking better. They got to start going to the places where these owners are at. That's either the sports club. They got to start getting people that are working that they come in contact with that are working with them. Like, they got to push their name up there to like, look, we got to get this guy in there. Gerard Mayo was that guy. People wanted Gerard Mayo to be the coach and also be the guy to go in there. And Gerard Mayo has no business. I guess he did work for the organization, but again, Gerard Mayo had no business really, stepping into that. I'm glad he's going to get paid, but again, Gerard Mayo shouldn't have been there because he really didn't have the pedigree. But I don't care who the coaches or how owners. If they want to hire some dude off the street, so be it. They're going to destroy their organization. But I have yet to see any owner lose his team because he hired the wrong coach. They're just going to trade him out for another. I mean, if that's the case, Jerry Jones needs to be gone. He's hired terrible coaches.
Yeah, and by the way, Mike Vrabel has interviews scheduled with the Bears, the Patriots, and there was one more. I don't remember the third team, but there's three teams that are looking at him.
Yeah,
And
Mike McCarthy. I forgot some team just asked the Cowboys if they can reach out to him for an interview. Why is Mike McCarthy? I mean, I get Jerry Jones he's annoying, but Mike McCarthy didn't have a good showing in the Green Bay either. Like
I
those
think
last
I think
several
Dallas
years.
is where coaches go to kill their career because if you're in Dallas, you're not. Look, that I hate the Cowboys, so I love when they lose. But the
Yeah,
problem with Dallas is Jerry Jones. It's Jerry Jones. It's
yeah, 100%.
100% Jerry Jones. But if you're a coach there, you don't have full power. You're going to have decisions. You're going to make decisions that are going to get overridden.
Yeah, but see, everyone knows that. That's the thing. Everybody knows that. Gerard Mayo, he went into that situation thinking that he's gonna be beloved and he could play the race card. He should have known what was going to be happening. But this is the thing. This is the problem with the media and people like Stephen A. Smith is that they are telling these guys like, yeah, you should, or reporters also too. They're trying to, because I know they were asking like, how does it feel to be the first black coach in New England, which I think New England does have kind of I don't want to say a race problem, but they do have an image problem when it comes to race. So I know they're super progressive, but they do have an image problem. I'm not my words. That's just what I see on the interwebs. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, Mayo, he was drinking the Kool-Aid. He was drinking the Kool-Aid with all these other people thinking like, I'm here because people want me to be here, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, that might be the case. But at the end of the day, you don't win your race, your gender, your shiny teeth. That's not going to save you. They're going to get you up out of there. Whether it's 1 year, 2 years, middle of the season, they're going to get you up out of there. He's lucky he didn't get fired in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and answer the question that I asked earlier. Is the NFL racist? I'm gonna say no.
Oh wait, did I?
I think the
right?
NFL is more
Yeah,
concerned with being neutral than they are with anything else, and sometimes it gives the appearance that they might be racist, but they're not. They just want to stay out of it. But sometimes staying out of it ain't an option. But that's probably the best route for them to take because if you stay neutral, honestly, I think all sports should be neutral. I don't really care
yes,
how you feel
I
about
agree.
anything. I'm watching this to escape for a temporary escape to relax after a hard week's work, and that's how you should view sports. So
Yeah, and
somebody need to hire Eric Bieniemy, man. I'm gonna keep saying that.
yeah, and then one more thing before we wrap this up, though. I've one of the things when we talked about the NBA thing, one thing I didn't even consider why the NBA was losing ratings, and I just thought of it when Gerard Mayo. These sports reporters, anytime there is a black coach or some coach with something that is a non-white coach, they always bring up these stupid questions. Hey, so have you talked to the other black coaches? They just did that with the Notre Dame coach, and the dude was like, "Yeah, that's fine, but let's not take away from the team. I'm here because of the team."
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what the media's what their obsession is with race because that does not you. Nobody's going to ask your race when you have a losing record or your team doesn't like you or you do some crazy scandalous stuff. Nobody's asking about any of that stuff. Nobody cares about any of that stuff.
I understand exactly why they're obsessed with race because it's an emotional topic, and emotions drive traffic, conversations, and clicks.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and it's really messed up. They need to be called out though, because part of the reason why the NBA is struggling is because of silly stuff like that, though, because they're asking these really dumb questions. That's why you get some of those boring answers or monotone coaches. I mean, even who's the Spurs coach? I forget I'm blanking on his name.
Popovich.
Pop, yeah, Pop. I don't know why I blanked on that.
Yeah.
But even with Pop, though, he would give these epic rants against these coaches or these reporters because they were asking really dumb questions. But I also think when you're asking these questions, I mean, Steve Kerr, he doesn't really answer really dumb questions, but he's always giving us 2 cents about race and everything. But you shouldn't even be there. You know who should be there is Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson only got ousted because his decision or because his beliefs when it comes to gay marriages. That's the only reason Mark Jackson should have been ousted. And matter of fact, if Mark Jackson, if they really loved him, they want to play the race card, why did the players play for him? Why did the Brooklyn Nets play for Steve Nash?
Mark Jackson is a great one, man. He changed the culture of Golden State.
Yeah,
they were losers before
he created that foundation that Steve Kerr went with. I mean, they started to win right after Steve Kerr. So I don't hear anything about he gave a different setup or they ran things a little bit differently. No, they were 1 year away of Mark Jackson having that success, and the owners could not take it. And it wasn't anything, it didn't have anything to do with race or gender. It's because they had a different opinion about gay marriage. That was the only thing.
He saw something in Steph Curry and nobody else saw it too, because he was one of the
Yes.
main ones advocating to draft him. Because
Yeah,
Steph
yeah.
kind of just, when he was at Davidson, he just exploded and blew up during the March Madness tournament. Nobody knew who he was before that March Madness
Yeah.
tournament. But Mark Jackson was talking about Steph Curry way before that tournament started.
Yeah.
So he has
And,
an eye for talent too.
yeah. And what is good for? He gets to go back to TV. And I don't know if he kept his job after they had those layoffs. I know his co-host
Well, he signed to Mason Cam right now. He has a podcast under their label.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
so he did lose his job. So again, with Stephen A. Smith, he wants to have this conversation about race, but look at the media. The media is part of the reason why Gerard Mayo got fired. You made it about race. That's the only thing you focused on instead of his pedigree. And if he's a good coach, and he got himself fired. I mean, there's a couple of reasons, but
Yeah.
if you don't want to talk, don't talk about race. Stick to sports and shut up and dribble.
I ain't taking it that far, but I don't care what your politics are, bro. You want to get up there? I'm talking to you too, LeBron. I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
that's cool that you doing those things, but I just want to see you play basketball. I'm not gonna tell you shut up and dribble, but I don't care what your politics are.
Yeah. All right. That's gonna wrap up this episode. Final words, MC?
Nah, I'm good, man. Thank y'all for rocking with us again. We're gonna keep cooking week after week.
Hey, go Eagles. Take the Packers down.
Peace.